Okay, let's go with lecture number 3 for statistics. How to mess things up before you start. This is sources of bias. When the sample is not representative of the population, it is sampling bias. So the sampling bias that often occurs when the sample is volunteers is your volunteer response bias. Okay. Bias that can occur when the researchers have an interest in the outcome is a self-interest study. Okay. When the responder gives inaccurate responses for any reason, this is response bias. Okay. When the responder fears giving an honest answer might negatively affect them is a perceived lack of anonymity. All right. And when people refuse to participate in the study can influence the validity of the outcome is non-response bias. And when the question wording influences the responses is a loaded questions. Loaded questions. Okay. All right, example 10. Consider a recent study which found that chewing gum may raise math grades in teenagers. The study was conducted by the Wrigley Science Institute, a branch of the Wrigley Chewing Gum Company. This is an example of what? Well, what are they doing here? So if they are doing a study on their own product or a product that, you know, they have some responsibility in, this is going to be a self-interest study. Right? A survey asked people, when was the last time you visited the doctor? Many of them are not going to remember. What, 6 months ago? Do you want a date? Do you want a month? How many years ago? So this can be an issue of suffer from response bias. Their response may be inaccurate. Okay. Survey asked participants a question about their interactions with members of other races. Here, a perceived lack of anonymity could influence the outcome. And then number 13, an employer puts out a survey asking their employees if they have a drug abuse problem and need treatment help. Here, again, a perceived lack of anonymity could influence the outcome. Okay. Number 14. A telephone poll asks the question, do you often have time to relax and read a book? And 50% of the people called refused to answer the survey. It is unlikely that the results will be a good representation of the population because this is an example of non-response bias. All right. A survey asked, do you support funding research of alternative energy sources to reduce our reliance on high polluting fossil fuels? Well, this is going to be a loaded or a leading question. Loaded or leading question. Also, a concern is question order, where the order of the question changes the results. All right, that is it for this section. I'm going to get to experiments next.